June looked out the window of the transport ship. His heart beat fast as he saw Nexus 7 for the first time. The artificial planet hung in space like a shining blue-green marble. It was home to the Galactic Academy of Competitive Sciences, the most famous school in the known universe. "We will dock in 5 minutes," said a robotic voice. "All new students, please gather your things." June checked his bag one more time. Inside was his acceptance letter, the first ever given to a human. Earth had only joined the galactic community 15 years ago. Most aliens still thought humans were too simple or too wild to join their schools. But June had proven them wrong. His test scores were in the top 1% of all applicants. Now he would show everyone what humans could do. The ship docked with a soft bump. June followed the other new students, all aliens from different worlds. Some had 6 legs. Others had scales or feathers. One looked like a walking plant. They all stared at June as he walked by. "Is that a human?" whispered a tall blue alien to his friend. "Yes," said his friend. "I heard they let one in this year. Strange choice." June pretended not to hear. He was used to this kind of talk. On Earth, he was just another student. Here, he represented all of humanity. The new students entered a large dome with a glass ceiling that showed the stars. At the front stood Dean Solter. The dean had silver skin that sparkled in the light, 6 arms, and eyes that looked like black marbles. He was a Trizarian, one of the oldest and smartest species in the galaxy. "Welcome to the Galactic Academy," said Dean Solter. His voice was deep and smooth. "You are the best young minds from 100 worlds. Here you will learn, grow, and compete in our famous tournament." June listened carefully. The tournament was why he had come. Each year, teams from the academy competed in tests of knowledge, strength, and teamwork. The winners got jobs at the best research centers in the galaxy. "Now I will announce your team assignments," said the dean. He began to read names from a screen. June waited for his name. Which team would he join? Team Alpha was the best, full of the smartest students. Teams Beta and Gamma were also very good. And finally, said Dean Solter, Team Omega will include Sunwoo, Hana, Doyen, Minji, and our new human student, June. The room went quiet. Then came the whispers. "Team Omega, that's the worst team. They always finish last. The human got put with the losers." Dean Solter smiled slightly. His black eyes seemed to watch June's reaction. June stood tall. He would not show how disappointed he felt. He had hoped to be on a good team. But it seemed the academy had other plans for him. After the ceremony, June followed a map to Team Omega's meeting room. It was smaller than the other team rooms and in the oldest part of the academy. Inside, 4 students sat at a round table. They looked up when June entered. "So you're the human," said a boy with short black hair. "I'm Sunwoo. I'm human too, from Korea. I came last year." June was surprised. "Another human. I didn't know there were any here already." Sunwoo shrugged. Nobody pays much attention to Team Omega. A girl with long hair tied in a ponytail raised her hand slightly. "I'm Hana," she said, so quietly June could barely hear. "I work on tactics." "Doyen," said a tall boy who was fixing something small and metal. "I build things." "And I'm Minji," said the last student. She had bright eyes and seemed to be the only one happy to see June. "I study alien biology. Maybe I can study you too." Maybe later," said June. He sat down at the table. "So tell me about Team Omega." The 4 looked at each other. Finally, Sunwoo spoke. "We're the team for misfits and lost causes. In 50 years, Team Omega has never placed better than last in the tournament. The academy needs someone to lose," said Doyen, not looking up from his work. "That's us." "But why?" asked June. "Because we're different," said Minji. "We don't think like the others. Hana gets too nervous to speak in public. Doyen builds things that don't follow academy design rules. My research theories make my professors angry. "And I'm human," said Sunwoo. "Just like you." Jun thought for a moment. Then he smiled. "So we're all here because they think we'll fail." The others nodded. "Then we'll just have to prove them wrong," said Jun. "I didn't come all this way to lose. Team Omega is going to win the tournament this year." Doyen laughed. "Impossible." "Nothing is impossible," said Jun. "We just need to work together. Humans are good at beating impossible odds. It's what we do best." For the first time, Team Omega looked interested instead of defeated. Maybe, just maybe, this year would be different. The next day, Jun came early to Team Omega's room. He wrote a plan on the big screen. When the others arrived, they looked at it with surprise. "What is this?" asked Doyen. "Our training plan," said Jun. "If we want to win, we need to work hard starting now." Sunwoo laughed. "You still think we can win? Team Alpha has Moktal. He has 3 brains. We can't beat that." "3 brains don't help if they all think the same way," said Jun. "We need to use our differences as our strength." The team didn't look sure. Years of losing had made them stop believing in themselves. "Let's get to know each other first," said Jun. "What are you good at, Hana?" Hana looked down at her hands. "I can see patterns others miss. In games, in fights, in anything with rules. But when I try to explain, I get too nervous." "That's a great skill," said Jun. "We'll help you feel more comfortable talking." Hana gave a small smile, the first Jun had seen from her. "What about you, Doyen?" asked Jun. Doyen was fixing a small robot on the table. "I build things. The teachers say my designs are wrong because they don't follow the old ways. But they work." "Can I see?" asked Jun. Doyen pushed the robot to Jun. It was shaped like a star with 5 legs. "Most Academy robots have 6 legs, like Trazarians," said Doyen. "Mine use less power and move faster. But they gave me a bad grade." Jun watched the little robot walk. It was faster than any robot he'd seen at the Academy. "This is brilliant," he said. "On Earth, we have a saying, if it works, it's not stupid." Doyen smiled a little. "And you, Minji, what's your story?" asked Jun. Minji spoke fast, excited to share. "I study how different species evolve on different worlds. I think there are patterns no one has seen yet. But my teacher says my ideas are too new, too different. Sometimes the newest ideas are the most important," said Jun. Finally, he turned to Sunwoo. "And you? We're both from Earth. How did you end up here?" Sunwoo's face grew sad. "I was supposed to be the first human at the Academy. I did well in classes, but in last year's tournament I froze. Team Omega came last, like always. Now no one takes us seriously." Jun put his hand on Sunwoo's shoulder. "This year will be different." For the next week, Jun spent time with each team member. He and Sunwoo talked about home, about Korean food they missed, and about how strange alien customs were. They became friends fast. With Hana, Jun found a quiet place where they could talk without others listening. Slowly, she began to share her ideas. She was smarter than anyone Jun had ever met, but years of being ignored had made her hide her light. "In the tournament," she said quietly, "Team Alpha always uses the same moves. If we plan for them, we could surprise them." "That's exactly what we need," said Jun. "Will you help us make that plan?" Hana nodded, her eyes bright. Jun worked late in the lab with Doyen, helping him build his strange but clever machines. Instead of telling Doyen what to do, Jun asked questions and learned. "No one ever wanted to know how my inventions work before," said Doyen one night. "They just said they were wrong." "They're not wrong," said Jun. "They're new, and new can win." With Minji, Jun compared Earth biology to alien life. They found connections no one had seen before. "Your Earth thinking helps my research," said Minji. "The Academy says we should all think the same way, but that's not how science grows." At the end of 2 weeks, Jun called a team meeting. When everyone arrived, The room felt different. There was energy now, and a little hope. "We have 3 months until the tournament," said June. "The other teams are training the old way. We'll train a new way. Human style." "What's human style?" asked Doyen. June smiled. "We try everything. We break rules. We use all our different skills together. And most importantly, we never, ever give up." "They'll still laugh at us," said Sunwoo. "Let them laugh," said June. "They won't be laughing when we win." For the first time, Team Omega sat up straight. They looked like a real team now. The journey would be hard, but they were ready to begin. The morning sun shone through the glass dome of the Academy's main training hall. 5 teams practiced there. Team Alpha had the best spot in the center. Teams Beta, Gamma, and Delta worked in their own areas. Team Omega had the smallest space in the corner. "Why are we here?" asked Hana. "Everyone will watch us fail." "We need to get used to working with people watching," said June. "The tournament will have many eyes on us." Today was the first day of June's new training plan. He had set up 5 stations around their small area. "On Earth, we train more than just our minds," explained June. "We train our bodies, our teamwork, and our ability to think in new ways." The team looked nervous but ready. "First, we will all learn each other's skills," said June. "Hana, you will teach us tactics. Doyen, you will show us how to build things. Minji, you will share your biology knowledge. Sunwoo, and I will teach Earth ways of solving problems." "But I'm not a good teacher," said Hana, her voice shaking. "You only need to teach 4 people," said June gently. "Start with me." For the next hour, Hana showed June how she saw patterns. Her mind worked like a map, seeing all the possible moves in any game. When she spoke only to June, her voice was clear and her ideas brilliant. "Now teach Sunwoo the same thing," said June when they finished. Slowly, Hana began to open up. By the end of the day, she had taught everyone her basic methods. The next day was Doyen's turn. He showed the team how to build a simple robot. "The Academy says robots must be built this way," said Doyen, showing a plan. "But this way is better." He showed his own design. Minji was a natural teacher. She made alien biology fun, showing how different life forms solved the same problems in different ways. "Just like us," said June. "We solve problems differently than other teams." When it was June and Sunwoo's turn, they taught Earth sports ideas. "In basketball," explained June, 5 players with different skills work together. One might be good at shooting, another at passing. Together, they are stronger than 5 players who all do the same thing. "And in soccer," said Sunwoo, "the best teams don't just practice plays. They learn to read each other, to know where their teammates will be without looking." The team practiced together every day. Sometimes they argued. Sometimes they failed. But each day, they got better. One day, as they worked, Moktal from Team Alpha walked by. He had gray skin and 3 heads on long necks. All 3 heads laughed when they saw Team Omega. "Look at the little human team," he said, "playing games while real students work." Doyen's face turned red. Hana looked at the floor. Minji bit her lip. But June just smiled. "We're training our way. See you at the tournament." Moktal laughed again and walked away. "Don't let him bother you," said June to his team. "He thinks we're not a threat." "That's good." 2 months passed. Team Omega worked harder than any other team. They started early and stayed late. They helped each other when things were hard. They cheered each other when things went well. One evening, as they worked in their room, Dean Solter came to watch. He stood in the doorway, his 6 arms crossed. The team was building a model of a planet with a problem to solve. Hana was planning their approach. Doyen was building a small device. Minji was checking the biology of the model. Sunwoo and Jun were testing different solutions. They worked together smoothly now, like they could read each other's minds. When Hana got stuck explaining something, Sunwoo helped finish her thought. When Doyen's device didn't work right, Minji suggested a change that fixed it. Dean Solter watched for 10 minutes. No one noticed him until he spoke. "Interesting methods, Team Omega," he said. His voice was cool. "But the tournament requires Academy standard approaches. Your human ways may not work there." "We'll take that chance," said June, standing tall. The dean nodded once and left. "Do you think he's right?" asked Sunwoo after the dean was gone. "Are we wasting our time?" June looked at his team. They had changed so much in 2 months. They stood straighter. They spoke more clearly. They believed in themselves more. "No," said June. "We're just getting started." The day of the tournament finally arrived. The whole academy was decorated with bright lights and flags from 100 worlds. Students filled the halls, talking about which team would win. "Team Alpha will win again," said most students. "Moktal is the smartest student in the academy." No one talked about Team Omega. No one expected them to do well. Jum gathered his team in their room one last time before the event. They formed a circle, arms around each other's shoulders. "We've worked harder than any other team," said June. "We know each other's strengths. We help each other's weaknesses. Today, we show everyone what humans and friends can do together." Sunwoo smiled. 3 months ago, I didn't think we had a chance. Now, I believe we can win." "Me too," said Minji. Her eyes were bright with excitement. "We built something special here," said Doyen. "Not just robots and machines, but a real team." Hannah spoke last. Her voice was quiet but no longer shaking. "Even if we don't win, we've already won by becoming what we are now." June nodded. "Let's go show them what Team Omega can do." The main arena was huge. Thousands of seats rose up around a central stage. Most seats were filled with students, teachers, and visitors from many worlds. Screens showed close-ups of the teams and the challenges. 5 team areas were set up on the stage. Team Alpha's area was biggest and in the center. Team Omega's was smallest and off to the side. "Welcome to the 51st Annual Galactic Tournament," announced Dean Solter. His voice boomed through the arena. "Today our teams will face 3 challenges: knowledge, building, and problem-solving." The crowd cheered. The teams took their places. The first challenge began. 1,000 questions flashed on screens in front of each team. They had to answer as many as possible in 1 hour. Team Alpha worked in their usual way. Moktal answered most questions himself, barely talking to his teammates. Team Omega did things differently. They split the questions by what each person knew best. When someone wasn't sure of an answer, they asked the others for help. "Time's up," called Dean Solter after an hour. The scores appeared on the big screen. Team Alpha, 876 correct. Team Beta, 854 correct. Team Gamma, 831 correct. Team Delta, 815 correct. Team Omega, 892 correct. The arena went silent. Then came whispers. "Team Omega is in first place. How is that possible? It must be a mistake." But it wasn't a mistake. By working together, Team Omega had beaten all other teams. Moktal's 3 heads turned to stare at Team Omega. His gray skin darkened with anger. "This is just the first challenge," he hissed. "You got lucky." The second challenge was building. Each team had to create a machine that could cross the arena, pick up a ball, and return it to the start point. Team Alpha built a standard 6-legged robot, following Academy designs perfectly. It moved slowly but steadily. Team Omega built one of Doyen's special designs. It had only 4 legs but moved twice as fast. Hannah planned its path. Minji made sure it could grip the ball properly. June and Sunwoo helped put all the parts together. When the machines were released, Team Alpha's robot moved forward carefully. Team Omega's zipped across the arena, grabbed the ball, and returned well before any other team's machine. The crowd was no longer silent. Some students were cheering for Team Omega now. The scores changed. Team Omega, 1792 points. Team Alpha, 1756 points. Team Beta, 1689 points. Team Gamma, 1655 points. Team Delta, 1622 points. Team Omega is still in first place, shouted someone in the crowd. More cheers followed. Dean Solter frowned. This was not how the tournament usually went. The final challenge will begin after a short break, he announced. The problem-solving challenge is worth double points and will decide the winner. As Team Omega walked to the break room, other students stopped them to talk. How did you do it? Asked a blue alien with 4 eyes. Your machine was amazing, said another. June saw that his team stood taller now. They answered questions with confidence. Hannah even explained their tactics to a small group without getting nervous. They didn't believe in us before, said Sunwoo as they entered the break room. Now they're starting to see what we can do. The hardest part is still ahead, said June. Team Alpha won't give up easily, but neither will we. During the break, Team Alpha held a meeting in their room. Moktal paced back and forth, all 3 of his heads looking angry. This is not acceptable, he said. Team Omega cannot beat us. They are the worst team in Academy history. One of his teammates, a blue alien named Heck, spoke up, but they worked well together. Maybe we should try. No, shouted Moktal. We will win the final challenge my way. And I have a plan to make sure of it. Meanwhile, Team Omega rested and prepared for the final challenge. June knew it would be the hardest one. The problem-solving challenge changed every year, and no one knew what it would be until it began. Whatever the challenge is, remember what we practiced, said June. We work together. We think in new ways. We never give up. A bell rang, calling all teams back to the arena. The final challenge begins now, announced Dean Solter. Each team must solve a crisis on a model planet. The planet is having earthquakes, storms, and a disease is spreading among its people. You must fix all 3 problems before time runs out. Each team was given a large model of a planet. It was the size of a small car, with moving parts and small figures representing people. Screens around it showed data about the problems. You have 2 hours, said Dean Solter. Begin. Team Alpha immediately split their work, with Moktal giving orders to each teammate. They worked fast, but didn't talk much to each other. Team Omega gathered around their planet model. Hannah looked at all the data first. The earthquakes, storms, and disease are connected, she said. Look at this pattern. Minji nodded. The disease spreads faster where there are earthquakes, and the storms happen more where there is disease. So we need to fix all 3 at once, not one at a time, said June. They made a plan together. Doyen built small devices to stop the earthquakes. Minji worked on a cure for the disease. Hannah tracked the patterns of the storms. Sunwoo and June connected all their work together. 1 hour passed. Team Alpha was working hard but having problems. Moktal kept changing his plan, confusing his teammates. Team Omega worked smoothly together. When one person had trouble, another helped. They spoke clearly to each other and shared ideas. Suddenly, Moktal walked near Team Omega's area. As he passed, he knocked into their table. The model planet shook, and some of Doyen's devices fell off. Sorry, said Moktal, not sounding sorry at all. My mistake. Doyen looked ready to cry. Hours of work were damaged. It's okay, said June, putting a hand on Doyen's shoulder. We can fix this. But we don't have time, said Doyen. Yes, we do, said June. Because now we'll work even better together. The team jumped into action. Hana quickly made a new plan. Minji helped Doyen rebuild his devices. Sunwoo fixed the damage to the model. June kept everyone calm and focused. In the stands, students watched with excitement. Many were now cheering for Team Omega. Look at them work together, said one student. They're like one mind with 5 bodies. With 10 minutes left, Team Alpha finished their solution. Their planet model was stable, but not all the problems were fully fixed. Team Omega worked until the last second. When time ran out, their planet model was running smoothly. The earthquakes had stopped. The storms were gone, and the disease was cured. Dean Soltar and the judges went to each team's model to check their work. They spent a long time with both Team Alpha and Team Omega. Finally, the judges returned to Dean Soltar and gave him their decision. The arena went quiet as the dean stepped forward to announce the scores. "The final scores are as follows," he said. Team Delta, 24-22 points. Team Gamma, 24-55 points. Team Beta, 24-89 points. He paused, looking at the last 2 teams. Team Alpha, 27-56 points. Moktal smiled with all 3 mouths. His team had done well. And Team Omega. Dean Soltar paused again, looking surprised at the card in his hand. Team Omega, 27-92 points. The arena exploded with cheers. Team Omega had won by 36 points. June and his team hugged each other, laughing and crying at the same time. They had done what everyone said was impossible. The worst team in Academy history was now the best. The arena was still full of noise and excitement. Students rushed down from their seats to surround Team Omega. Everyone wanted to talk to the winners. "How did you do it? Can you teach us your methods? Will you sign my tablet?" Team Omega looked shocked at all the attention. Just a day ago, no one had even noticed them. Dean Soltar walked to the center of the stage and raised his 6 arms for quiet. The crowd slowly stopped talking. "The winners of the 51st Annual Galactic Tournament are Team Omega," he announced formally. "They will receive the Golden Trophy and the top internships at the Galactic Research Center." He handed a shining gold trophy to June. It was shaped like the Academy building with 5 stars around it, 1 for each team member. As June took the trophy, he saw Moktal standing off to the side. All 3 of his heads looked angry. His teammates looked sad and tired. "Wait," said June to the dean. "I want to say something." Dean Soltar looked surprised but nodded. June turned to face the crowd. He took a deep breath. "Thank you all for this honor," he said. "But Team Omega didn't win just because we're smart. We won because we learned to work together and use our different skills." He looked at Moktal. "All the teams here are amazing. We learned from watching Team Alpha's discipline, from Team Beta's careful planning, from Team Gamma's creative thinking, and from Team Delta's hard work." Moktal's eyes widened in surprise. "This trophy belongs to everyone who believes that different isn't wrong, that new ideas matter, that helping each other makes us all stronger." The crowd was quiet for a moment. Then they began to cheer again, louder than before. Even some members of Team Alpha were clapping now. One of them, Tech, walked over to Team Omega. "You deserve to win," said Tech, holding out a hand with 7 fingers. "Maybe next year we can learn from each other." Sunmu shook Tech's hand. "We'd like that." After the ceremony, there was a big party in the Academy's main hall. All the students and teachers came to celebrate. Even Dean Soltar seemed to be enjoying himself. June found a quiet corner to sit for a moment. He felt tired but happy. Someone sat down next to him. It was Dean Soltar. "Interesting tournament," said the dean. His voice was calm, but his eyes looked thoughtful. "Thank you, sir," said June. "When I put you on Team Omega, I did not expect this result," admitted the dean. "I thought you would learn your place in the galaxy." "And what place is that?" asked June. The dean's silver skin reflected the party lights. "I thought humans were too young, too emotional to succeed here. But you have shown me something new." "What's that?" "That different ways of thinking can be valuable. That emotion can drive innovation. That humans might have something to teach the rest of us." June smiled. "We had a lot to learn from you too. That's why I came to the Academy." Dean Soltar stood up. Next year, we will change some things. Teams will be mixed differently. Training will include some of your human methods. I think that's a great idea, said June. Across the room, Jum saw his teammates enjoying the party. Hana was talking to a group of students, explaining their tactics with confidence. Doyen was showing his robot designs to some impressed teachers. Minji was deep in conversation with a senior biology professor. Sunwoo was laughing with members of other teams. They had all changed so much in 3 months. They had become more than just students. They had become leaders. Later that night, Team Omega gathered in their room. The trophy sat in the middle of their table, shining in the soft light. "What happens now?" asked Minji. "The tournament is over. Now we prepare for the Galactic Research Center," said June. "The top scientists in the galaxy will be watching us." "Are you nervous?" asked Doyen. June looked around at his team. "Not at all. We've already done the impossible once. I think we're just getting started." Sunwoo raised a cup of Blue Academy juice. "To Team Omega, the best team in the galaxy. To Team Omega," they all said together. As they celebrated, none of them knew that news of their victory was already spreading beyond the Academy. Across the galaxy, on a small blue planet called Earth, humans were hearing about 5 students who had changed the way the galaxy saw humanity. The story of Team Omega was just beginning. 6 months passed since Team Omega won the tournament. The Academy had changed in many ways. The old team system was gone. Now students worked in mixed groups that changed for different projects. Everyone learned from everyone else. June walked through the Academy halls, watching new students practice. Some used Team Omega's methods now. Teachers called it the human approach, solving problems by sharing different ideas and helping each other. "June, wait up," called a voice behind him. June turned to see Sunwoo running to catch up. They had become best friends over the past year. "Are you ready for tomorrow?" asked Sunwoo. "The shuttles to the Galactic Research Center leave early." "Almost ready," said June. "I can't believe our year at the Academy is over." They walked together to Team Omega's room. It had been made bigger after their win. The walls were covered with pictures of their victory and plans for new projects. Hana, Doyen, and Minji were already there, packing their things. "There you are," said Minji. "We were waiting for you." Hana smiled at June. She rarely looked shy anymore. "Dean Solter wants to see all of us in his office before we leave." "All of us? Why?" asked June. "He didn't say," said Doyen. "But he looked happy, which is strange for him." The team walked together to the dean's office. Students and teachers nodded to them as they passed. Team Omega was famous now. Dean Solter was waiting for them, his silver skin shining in the light from the window. On his desk was a small model of the Academy. "Team Omega," he said, "please sit down." They sat in 5 chairs in front of his desk. "Tomorrow you leave for your internships at the Galactic Research Center," said the dean. "But first, I have news to share." He touched the model on his desk, and it lit up with tiny lights. "Your victory has changed things beyond the Academy. Word has spread throughout the galaxy. Many schools now want to learn the human approach to problem solving." June felt proud hearing this. Their hard work had made a difference. "More importantly," continued the dean, "other species are looking at humans differently now. Earth has been invited to join the Galactic Council a full 10 years earlier than planned." "The Galactic Council?" asked Minji. "That's amazing." The Council was the group of species that made decisions for the whole galaxy. Humans had hoped to join someday, but no one expected it so soon. "Your team showed that humans bring something valuable to the galaxy," said Dean Solter. "Your different way of thinking. Your ability to bring out the best in others. Your, what do you call it? Teamwork." "Thank you, sir," said June. "But we couldn't have done it without the Academy's teaching." The dean nodded, "Which brings me to my second piece of news. The Academy is starting a new program next year, Human Studies. We want more students to learn your methods." That's great, said Sunwoo. And we want the 5 of you to help create this program, finished the dean. The team looked at each other in surprise. But what about our internships? Asked Doyen. You will still go to the research centers, said the dean. But when you finish in 1 year, we invite you to return as special teachers. June couldn't believe what he was hearing. When he first came to the academy, humans were seen as barely worth teaching. Now they were being asked to teach others. We would be honored, said June, speaking for the team. That evening, Team Omega sat on the roof of the academy, looking at the stars. Their bags were packed for tomorrow's journey. Did you ever think this would happen when we met? Asked Hana. Never, laughed Doyen. I thought we'd lose the tournament like always. I just wanted to do good work and not be noticed, said Minji. Now we're going to help change the academy. Sunwoo looked at June. All because you believed we could win when no one else did. June shook his head. No, because we believed in each other. That's the real human approach, seeing the best in others and helping them see it too. They sat quietly for a while, watching ships move across the night sky. What do you think we'll discover at the research center? Asked Minji. New science, new worlds, new friends, said June. But the most important things we've already found right here. He looked at his team, his friends. They had started as the weakest team, but had become the strongest. Not by being the same as everyone else, but by being proudly different. To Team Omega, said June, raising his hand to the stars. And to whatever comes next. To whatever comes next, they all agreed, their hands reaching up together. And somewhere in the vast galaxy, new adventures were waiting for them. The end.